G'day everyone, Raid0AU, and a little bit of a different video today, something I don't normally do, but in this case I thought that it was probably worth it. And that is just to bring you my thoughts, and these are my own personal thoughts, so feel free to disagree with me on this. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But my own personal thoughts regarding Star Wars Battlefront 2. There's been quite a bit of controversy over on the Reddit pages and through various outlets regarding Battlefront 2. I'm sure a lot of you have probably already read or heard about it. But I just thought, because I am including some videos on the channel about Star Wars Battlefront 2, and in particular the campaign at the moment, I thought it was worthwhile, and I thought I kind of owed it to you guys that are watching to know where I'm coming from with this. Now, for those of you who are watching hoping that I'm going to say boycott the game, you're going to be disappointed. And for those of you that are going to be hoping that I say definitely go out and buy the game, you're also going to be disappointed, I would think. It's a bit of I'm sort of kind of in the middle area there, and I'll try to explain why. So first of all, basically, for complete disclosure side of things, I've not received anything from EA or DICE. I've not been sent a game key. I've bought this game out of my own money. That was my own choice to do that. I've never had any contact with EA or DICE or anyone who works with EA or DICE. Yeah, I mean, the YouTube channel is nowhere big enough for them to even take any notice of somebody like me. So that's that side of things pushed to one side. From a personal level, basically, I will freely admit I am a sucker for anything that's Star Wars. Basically, I still remember as a child being taken by my parents to watch the original Star Wars back in 1977 at the cinema. And since that day, I have been a sucker for anything Star Wars. In fact, just sitting near me, and just see if I can just unclip it here. I have a little
I am your father.
Darth Vader doll.
The Force is strong with us one. I am your father.
So as you can see, I am, well, as you can see, you can't see it. As you can hear, basically, I am a bit of a sucker for anything Star Wars. And, you know, I will go and watch every movie that comes out. Doesn't matter what people say about it, whether it's good, whether they say it's good or bad, I will go and watch it at the cinema and make my mind up whether I like it or not. That's a whole nother story if we wanted to go down that line. It would take too long for this video. But also, as far as any computer games are concerned, I've always, basically, if it's got the name Star Wars on it, I always look at it. Basically, you know, going back in the day I remember the first Star Wars games in the arcades with the wireframe, doing the trench run, shooting wireframe TIE fighters, if any of you out there recall that. And then leading through things like X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and then, you know, Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, all those sort of things. And even the Old Republic, which didn't turn out as great as people hoped, but basically, you know, I still bought that and I enjoyed what I did play of it. So And then we came to 2015. I mean, obviously, sorry, with the computer games, I also missed, obviously, there the original Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2. But then we come to 2015, and out comes the remake of Star Wars Battlefront made by DICE. And I remember when they announced it, and the hype surrounding that was massive. From a Star Wars fan point of view, the idea and the thought behind DICE making a Battlefield type game set in a Star Wars universe, with thinking people complained when that came out that it was, it's just a reskin Battlefield with it's got a Star Wars skin on it. You know what? I would have been happy with that. Basically, if we could have had like Battlefield game mechanics with the various vehicles on the maps and things like that, I would have been more than happy with that. More than happy. But as it turned out, basically, and let's face it, they had one of the easiest jobs in the world. Basically, if you make, and they still do, make a decent Star Wars game. It doesn't have to be multiplayer. Multiplayer is great and people love it, but it doesn't have to be multiplayer. It can be single player as long as it's a good story and it's a good Star Wars game. And the thing's going to fly off the shelves. You've not only got your tragics like me who have been following Star Wars for the majority of their life, but you've also got a whole new audience now with the new movies having come out, a whole new generation that are going to be looking at it. So, it's a no-brainer. Basically, bring out a decent game and you're going to sell tons of it. So, I don't understand why companies have a problem with that notion. But so, original Battlefront comes out. Turns out it's rushed, buggy. You could see that it was unfinished, lacking content, and some of the mechanics in it were pretty bad, to be honest. Which was a shame because of the hype behind it and what everyone was looking for. But having said that, it was Star Wars, so didn't have a single player campaign. That was the big thing for me. I was hoping for a new Star Wars single player campaign, something to sink your teeth into. And rightly so, they got heavily criticised for that release. And so we come to Battlefront 2. So, vastly more content in it. They've obviously had another 2 years on it. The original game, the graphics in it were great. Like, really good graphics. The best graphics we've probably seen in a game to realise the Star Wars universe. So the graphics and were never an issue. And the sound design and things like that. You can't really go wrong with the Star Wars sounds in as far as, making it sound like Star Wars. But in Battlefront 2, we've got a lot more content. There's a lot more maps, a lot more vehicles, single-player campaign, and the multiplayer, obviously. So now I have caveat here, I haven't finished the single-player. I'm still working my way through it and we'll release videos along the way. I've enjoyed what I've done so far. I have heard reports that the story's a little bit disjointed at times, but so far I've enjoyed what I've been playing of it, and I'm more than happy for that. Is the game worth $60 for the single player? Absolutely not. From what I can understand, the single player is not all that long. So if you're thinking of buying the game solely for the single player, my advice there would be to hold off and wait for the price to come down, because it's certainly not worth that for $60. The multiplayer, this is where the big controversy is coming about with the loot boxes. So it's been described as pay to win, which I can fully understand. So the mechanic in there is players earn credits in game. With those credits, they can buy heroes or they can buy loot crates, which give them star cards. And star cards give you additional abilities, bonuses to abilities, and there are various levels of star cards which increase their power. But on top of that, you can pay real world money to buy crystals, and then use those crystals to buy the loot boxes to get the star cards. And from what I've read on it, now obviously, first thing I'll say here is in the game, I will never spend any real world money on a loot box. I just can't bring myself to do that. I just won't do it. So that's a caveat there. But from what I understand, from what I've read and what I've heard other people talking about, you can spend basically $100 in the game on top of the $60 you've spent, and receive your loot boxes. Once you've opened all those, because you do get repeats, it is a random. You're never sure what you're going to get out of a loot box. So you will have generally enough to be able to unlock all the heroes in the game, and also to have some very high level cards. You can't get the maximum level cards. You have to do that through playing the game. So they have taken that out of the game. You can't get weapons from them. Weapons are earned through playing. So that's a caveat on there. So what it means is that somebody could buy the game, come in, drop another $100, and basically have a certain advantage over other players in the game. And from that point of view, I fully understand the pay to win description of the game. For me personally, as I said, I'll never buy a loot box with real world money. I have to buy loot boxes, but I'll only ever use in-game currency. And from what I've read with the progression line, because apparently it takes an exorbitant amount of hours to unlock, if you wanted to unlock everything, chances are I'll never unlock everything. But you know what? That's okay with me. Because when I sit back and I look at myself, I am what I would describe as an average player. Across the board. Anybody who knows me or has played with me in an online shooter, and I know there'll be those of you out there who watch this who have, will definitely know that I am an average online first-person shooter player. I'm not out there displaying elite skills. I have my moments where everything seems to go right and I get a decent kill streak and things like that. But 9 times out of 10, I'm probably the one taking the shot in the head. So, now, are those star cards going to fix that for me? No. When I'm playing a game and I get headshotted, or I just simply get killed by another player, am I then looking at their star cards and going, he's killed me simply because he's got that star card? No. I'm looking at it and being realistic with myself. Who knows? Maybe it was because he had that star card. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, he killed me because I'm pretty average. So the star card side of things really doesn't bother me from a personal level. I can understand where it does bother a lot of other people who, from a competitive point of view, want everyone to be playing on exactly the same level, like a level playing field. And certainly these star cards do muddy that water. Basically, you know, there are going to be players out there who are not necessarily on the same level playing field from other players on that map. Supposedly the matchmaking is supposed to help with that, but the matchmaking is only as good as how many people are playing. If you shrink your player base, then the matchmaking is not going to work that well. So the loot box system, from me personally, is not a big issue. Apparently it does make a big impact on Starfighter Combat, whatever, Starfighter Conquest or whatever it is. Apparently in the ships it can have quite a big impact, and that's disappointing, and certainly something I would hope that they would adjust and probably nerf sometime down the track, which would be a bit of a pain in the backside if you paid $100 for those star cards and suddenly some of them are getting nerfed. I don't know how they're going to go with that, but that's going to be another controversy that I'm sure Reddit will have a field day with. So, what are my recommendations for people? Ray, would you recommend someone buy the game? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend to anyone that they buy this game. I would recommend that everyone, if you're thinking of buying this game, do some reading on it. Read up on the controversy. Read up on the loot boxes. Think about how you're going to play the game. As I said, if you're buying it solely for the single player and you're really not going to touch the multiplayer much, it's not worth it at the moment. For that, I'm positive. You know, wait for it to appear in a sale or come down in price, or, you know, I don't know, maybe one day it'll be one of the on-the-house things in Origin. If you're going to play it with the multiplayer, is it worth it? For me personally, yes, it's worth it. Simply because even though I'm pretty average at it, and it's the same with the Battlefields or any of the online shooters, I like playing them. I actually enjoy playing them, but I'm pretty average at them, and I know that. So because that star card side of things is not really an issue for me personally, I don't have a problem with it. But others are going to. So for me, I was happy to buy it, knowing that I'm never going to spend any more money on it. Because the other thing is, they've brought in the loot box system, which is not a great thing. I mean, basically, don't get me wrong here, I wish it wasn't there. And I don't think there's too many people out there, apart from the publishers. You know, like EA, I'm sure, are quite happy it's there, and especially their executives. But I don't think there's too many people out there, even if they're enjoying the game, would say that they're happy with that's in there. I don't think that's anyone's opinion. But it is there. But what they have said is that DLC will be free. So there is no season pass. And that's something that kind of doesn't get mentioned in a lot of the discussions regarding this. And that is definitely a positive. If we just forget about the negatives for a side, because there are big negatives with those loot boxes and that for a lot of people, and I understand that. So I'm just not ignoring it. But if we just think about the free DLC and no season pass, and think about how that has fractured the gaming community for games like Battlefield, the various Battlefields, and the previous Battlefront, you've got the community divided into the haves and the have-nots. Basically, some people will have some of the DLC packs, but not the season pass, so they don't have all of it. Some people will have the season pass and have everything. Some people will just have the base game. So, not everyone can play all the modes and maps together. So with the free DLC, meaning that everyone will get that DLC and there won't be the splintering of the community. So that to me is a positive, definite positive. So it means that basically, hopefully, the community will stay active enough that at least you can get a game. That's all I want. Basically, I don't need millions of people playing it. Just be nice to get a game from time to time. It's not I mean, to be honest, Battlefront isn't, and I don't think it was ever designed to be a hardcore online experience. It's, at its heart, it's an arcade shooter, I think. And I think that's what it's designed for. But it's just unfortunate, I think, that after Battlefront 1, or after the first Battlefront that they released in 2015, and the fact that they released an unfinished product there, that they then had to come and screw it up again with this loot box controversy. I mean, basically, all they had to do was come out and release a much better version of that first game. And everybody would have been happy. But that's not what's happened. Am I surprised? No. Just have to look at what's happened in other games this year and the rise of the loot box. People have been calling it out for years that this might happen. Well, guess what? It's here. How long will it last? Who knows? These things come and go. I suppose it all depends how many people are willing to drop that $100 or spend real world money on those loot boxes. If people just played the game and didn't buy the loot boxes, you'd find developers or you'd find publishers would drop it in an instant because it just wouldn't be worth the money to actually put it in the game because you're not going to get anything back from it. But that's not going to happen either. There's always going to be those out there that are going to want to buy those loot boxes to boost themselves. And at its heart, is it that much different to loading up something like World of Warcraft and buying yourself a leveling potion? Like, you know, a level up potion. Or something like that. It's not that different in the fact that you can actually attain these things over time. Admittedly, I'm sure they've extended that time to make the loot boxes more attractive to a lot of people. And the design of the loot boxes and the whole pseudo-gambling side of things, because you are paying real-world money here for these things. It is a game of chance, effectively. You don't know what you're going to get from it. So, you know, I know legally it may not be classed as gambling, but ethically, it's probably hard to argue against the fact that it's gambling. So, I think I've rambled on enough in regards to this. Hopefully I've made some kind of sense somewhere along the line to somebody out there. Probably not. You're probably all asleep by now. But final words there are, if you want to buy the game, if you watch my videos and you look at it and go, that looks pretty cool, I think I might go buy it. Just stop for a moment, go and watch, or go and watch some feedback on it. Go and read some feedback, some of the reviews, things like that. Just have a read about what's going on in the game and the reactions to it and what effect it's having, and then make your decision. That's all I ask of people, is make an informed decision. And that's all I think any of us can ask. But as far as, whether you agree with my opinion or I agree with yours, doesn't really matter. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Everyone enjoys different things. Everyone sees positives and negatives in a different way. That's great. That's what makes the world go round. If we all thought the same, what a boring place this planet would be. So I'm going to leave it there. And this is all I'm going to say on the matter. So, as I said, it's not a video I normally do, but I felt it was warranted in this situation regarding the controversy, because I know there will be some negative comments probably coming on some of those videos that I put out regarding the campaign. But thank you all for listening. I'm Raid Zero AU, signing out.